Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. SSET Englishtown.
Hi guys, it is Jane. Today is TS for my C3 Monday, Wednesday, Friday class at 6:10 in room 501. Today we will be using our How to Master Skills for the TOEFL Reading Basic book. Okay, so in our book we need to turn to page 220. So we're going to begin Unit 10. Alright. So, in Unit 10, we will be learning how to fill in a table. All right? In order to fill in a table, you will be asked the major ideas of what you are reading, and you are going to use that information to fill out the main points. All right? So let's start with a sample activity on 221. This one is called The Effects of Weather. It was a brutal winter in eastern Canada this year. It comes as a surprise because last winter was so mild. The cold was bad for many people, but good for some. This year saw record low temperatures for long periods of time. There were nearly 25 days below -20 degrees Celsius. This was worsened by wind. It made temperatures feel even lower. Snow days, when schools closed because of snow, actually became cold days. A few schools had to close because the weather froze pipes and disabled heating systems. The cold also impacted agriculture. 40% of the grapevines had to be replaced in a few areas. The cold was good for some people. However, energy suppliers increased sales to match the heating demand. Clothing suppliers were quick to see opportunities also. They were able to sell lots of winter clothing. The cold weather also created ideal conditions for winter sports. This helped tourism and helped people appreciate the cold. Despite its negative effects, people were able to find the upside. Alright, so now you want to look at the answer choices below and choose what 3 were positive effects and what 2 were negative effects. All right, so take a minute to look at those and decide what our best choices are. Okay, so what do you think was a positive effect? 1. Clothing suppliers made profits. Good. All right. What else was a positive effect? 3. Winter sports attracted a lot of foreigners.
4.
So 3, not quite. 4. Energy suppliers benefited from the weather. That one is a good positive. Okay, one more positive. What other positive do you think?
6.
All retailers enjoyed increase in sales. All retailers would also include grocery stores and other places. Did it mention grocery stores? No. Okay. So not quite 6. All right. 7. Yes, the local tourism industry temporarily boomed. All right, good. Now, what 2 were negative effects?
2.
2. Some schools were shut down. Very good. What else?
5.
5. Agriculture was damaged. All right. Good job. Turn your page. Okay. So let's try with an earthquake happens when the surface plates of our Earth move. Sometimes the plates rub together. These are called interplate quakes. When there is a sudden slip between the plates, energy is released in the form of shock waves. Both plates shake like a guitar string when it is picked. Quakes can also happen when a crack in the middle of a plate forms. These are called intraplate quakes. They often surprise scientists because they happen in places that they do not ever expect earthquakes. So now we have to choose the best two answers for interplate and intraplate quakes. So take a minute and look at the choices. All right, so for interplate quakes, what do you think is the best choice?
B.
B, plates rub together and slip. Good. What about intraplate quakes?
D.
Not
A.
quite D.
A.
Not quite A, because it says both shake like guitar strings, and they don't.
C.
See? Yes, plates crack in the middle. So the reason why it's plates crack in the middle is because they talk about how this happens when we least expect it. We do not know where it's going to happen. That is why C is the best choice. Okay, on to page 223. The word nebula used to refer to anything that was not a planet or comet. This meant that galaxies and clusters of stars were kinds of nebulas. Nebula should really refer to a cloud of dust and gas in space. In fact, the word nebula means cloud in Latin. One kind of nebula is made of gas. When the hot gas cools, it lets out light. Usually, these nebulas are red. Another kind is made of dust. They reflect the light of stars nearby. Another kind of dust nebula blocks the light of something shining behind it. All right, so this time they want you to choose the best three answers that describe the types of nebulas. So take a minute to look at those. All right, so for gaseous nebula, what did you pick?
D.
D, red light usually escapes as gases cool. Very good. What about dust nebula?
E.
Yes, B, and what other one?
E.
E, good. For dust nebula, starlight reflects off its particles, and it can block light. Good job, guys. All right, next one. The Erie Canal was a water highway that connected the Hudson River in New York to the Great Lakes. Before the canal, travel and trade were difficult. People and goods had to move across land in carts. They sometimes used rivers, but they depended too much on the weather. Travel and trade were expensive, slow, and dangerous. After the canal was built, things got better. First, it cut cost and time in moving goods. This increased trade. Crops that grew in the West could be sold in Europe. Second, people were able to move west and increase the size of the USA more easily. So now you need to choose the best three answers contrasting the times before and after the Erie Canal was built. So take a minute and look over those. best choice for before?
B.
B. Travel was slow, costly, and perilous. All right. What about for after?
A.
A, not quite. Because remember in the passage it says that people were able to move west and increase the size of the USA more easily. It doesn't say that the US was wealthy.
D.
D, people were able to move west easily to explore. And
C. E.
E, it was cheaper to move goods. For C, that says it became easier for the Indians to move westward. But we didn't mention Indians in the passage. So B, D, and E. Very good. All right, turn your page. Okay, black holes. Black holes are difficult to see. They neither give off nor reflect light because gravity pulls everything in. The only way physicists know a black hole exists is by seeing the things falling into it. As it enters, the object will be squeezed and give off light, heat, and light. This radiation can be seen. Black holes are sometimes formed by a star that dies. Only large stars can become black holes. The star collapses into its center, where it becomes very small but still has gravity. This is the heart of a black hole. Sometimes a black hole is formed by a large cloud of gas. It shrinks because of the gravity that is created between the gas molecules. The Hubble telescope took a picture of this kind of black hole. Scientists think that such a black hole is right at the center of our own galaxy. So in this passage, the word radiation is closest in meaning to what?
B.
B, very good, energy. According to the passage, what is the defining characteristic of a black hole?
A.
Not quite A. A galaxy is the entirety of that area, including planets, moons, stars.
C.
Sometimes. It says black holes are sometimes formed by a star that dies.
D.
D, gravity. That's right. Because gravity is what's pulling everything in, creating the black hole. Good try, though. All right, and now we need to find the best 3 of the answer choices that go with how black holes are formed. Okay, so take a minute to look over that. Okay, so what do you guys think is the first way of formation? A, only large stars can form black holes. All right, and what is the second choice for that?
E.
E, not quite, because that's the center of a galaxy collapses.
T.
D, yes, the death of a star is the cause. So the reason why E is incorrect is because it would be the center of a star collapses, not galaxy. Okay, so what about the second way of formation?
B.
B says the center of a hole becomes black. That's not quite right. It's just called a black hole because gravity is collapsing within. So that's not quite it.
C.
C, a large cloud of gas gets very small. Good job. All right, Sumerian civilization. The Sumerians made many advances. They first improved agriculture. They later established a military. The Sumerians are thought to have invented the wheel. It was first used for pottery, which was essential for storing crops. Then it was used for grinding grain. Last, it was then used for farm and military vehicles. Sumerians were the first to use writing and math, even before the Egyptians. This helped them organize their society. These systems were used to keep track of food storage and trade. The military used it to keep track of men, weapons, and supplies. They were the first to study the stars and sun in a serious way. It helped them tell time so they could decide when to plant a crop. A way of reading the stars also helped them plan when to attack their enemies. They believed that the stars could speak of their success or failure. All right, so number 1, the word advances in the passage is closest in meaning to?
C.
Not quite.
A.
Not merits. Merits would be kind of like what you earn, merits. So for this instance, it would be innovations, because it's saying that they created a lot of things. Advances could also mean approaches, but in this way, approaches is talking about like going forward to do something. So it would be their approach to attacking someone. But because it says advances in this type of sentence, it's what did they create? Innovation is creation. According to the passage, what did the Sumerians believe the stars could tell? D. The stars could tell how to proceed with a battle. Very good. All right, for number 3, you need to find the best 3 of the 5 answer choices of the ways advances supported agriculture and the military. So take a minute to do that. Okay, so for agriculture, what do you think best supports this? They were the first to invent the wheel. Well, it talks about how the wheel, they used it for pottery to store crops and for grinding grain, and then later it was used for farm and military vehicles, but not right away. I'm sorry?
B.
B? The Sumerians were the first to use writing. This is true, but it doesn't help agriculture. Agriculture is farming. So how could it help with farming?
C.
C. The stars told when it was time to plant. Good. Now, what other one do you think would be good for this?
E.
E. Writing kept track of food storage. This was important so they would know how much food they had and how much they would need. All right, what about for military?
T.
D. The wheel was used for carts in battle. All right, turn to page 226. Termite colony. Termites live in a large group called colonies. There can be millions of these insects living together. The colony survives by cooperation between the different kinds of termites. Each nest has at least one king and queen. Their role is to produce more termites, not to direct the life of the colony. A termite queen can lay thousands of eggs each day. Its body can grow up to 10 centimeters with eggs. The eggs grow into young termites called nymphs. Worker termites are blind. They are in charge of looking for food, feeding soldiers and young termites, and taking care of the nest. Soldier termites must defend the nest. Their heads grow a protective covering. However, their jaws are so large they must be fed by worker termites. With this type of organization, the colony is able to achieve more than a single individual ever could. The word cooperation in the passage is closest in meaning to D, collaboration. Good. The word there in the passage refers to A, soldier termites. Great job. All right, for number 3, you need to pick the 4 of the 5 answer choices with the kinds of termites and their roles. Which one goes best? Okay, so what do you put for queen?
B.
B, they lay eggs. Good. What about soldier?
A.
A, they have large jaws. And worker?
C.
C and D, they cannot see and they look for food. Good. Excuse me. All right. Now we need to be on page 227. It is our last page. The theory of continental drift. Continental drift is an old theory of geology. It is older than the theory of plate tectonics. Early scientists saw that the different land masses had shapes that fit together. They also noticed that their geologies were similar. Africa and South America had many similarities. The same types of fossils were found in both places. Even today, there is a type of earthworm that is found in both places. Scientists learned that at one time, all the land was stuck together. The great land mass was called Pangea. The land moved apart over time. The problem was to explain how the land masses moved apart. Scientists could not understand how whole continents could move through the rock on the sea floor. Eventually, they learned that even the sea floor spreads in certain places. This gave rise to the idea of floating plates and plate tectonics. The phrase gave rise to in the passage is closest in meaning to
B.
Not B. B means lifted.
C.
C would be so spread. That means to spread apart. Gave rise to is kind of to give birth to, so that means A, began. Good. According to the passage, why did the idea of continental drift not work?
T.
D, scientists believe that the land was stuck together in places isn't correct because that wasn't their concern. They were unsure about what could happen. C, scientists could not explain how continents could move through rock. Good job. All right, now for number 3, you need to complete the table below by matching 4 of the 5 answer choices that contrast continental drift with plate tectonics. So take a minute to go over that. All right, so for continental drift, what did we put?
A.
Continents did not move is not correct because we know that they do move.
B.
B, continents had some similar geology. That is correct. What other choice best supports continental drift?
E.
E, continents had shapes that seem to fit together. That's right, very good. Now what about under plate tectonics?
C.
C, the sea floor has spread zones. What other one?
T.
D, plates float over the Earth's core. All right, very good, guys. So that is the end of the lesson for today. Your homework is pages 228 to 231. All right? Thanks, guys.
Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. SSET Englishtown.